Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between green hills and fertile fields, there lived an old woman in a tiny wooden house. She wasn't rich and didn't own anything valuable, yet everyone in the village knew her. It wasn't because of her age, but because of the warm smile that always lit up her face. People fondly called her the happy old lady. No one had ever seen her angry, sad, or complaining. Whether it rained or shone, whether it was a cold winter day or a time of poor harvest, she remained cheerful and calm. Children loved visiting her because she told the most wonderful stories, and the grown-ups came to her to share their problems and receive gentle, wise advice. One day, a young man from the village, troubled by recent hardships, decided to visit the old lady. His heart was heavy with questions about life and emotions he couldn't quite understand. As he stepped into her small house, he was greeted by her warm smile and the soothing scent of herbal tea. "Grandma," the young man said, "you always seem so happy. No matter what happens, you never appear sad or worried. How is it possible to be that way? Haven't you ever been through pain or sorrow?" The old lady gently set her teacup down, looked at him with eyes full of wisdom, and smiled kindly. "My dear child, life is never only full of joy. I have known sorrow and tears, but I've learned that happiness doesn't come from what happens outside of us. It comes from within." The young man fell silent, listening intently. The old woman continued, her voice slow and comforting, as if taking him on a journey through time. "When I was young, I had a small family, a good husband and two sweet children. We weren't wealthy, but we lived simply and happily. Our happiest moments were those quiet evenings around the fire, filled with laughter and love. Then one day, my husband fell gravely ill. We tried everything we could, but we were too poor to afford proper medicine. In the end, he passed away. That was the saddest day of my life." The young man was moved by her words and quietly lowered his eyes in sympathy. But the old lady's voice remained steady as she went on. "I cried for many nights. At times, I felt like I couldn't go on. But then I looked at my children. They still needed me. I realized that staying in grief forever wouldn't bring my husband back, and it would only hurt the ones who were still with me. So I decided to live differently. Every morning when I woke up, I told myself, today is a new day, and I will find something to be happy about. Some days it was the sunlight shining through the window. Other days it was a flower blooming in my garden. Sometimes it was just hearing a bird sing." The young man asked gently, "But what if something terrible happens? How can you still be happy during those times?" The old woman nodded slowly and answered with wisdom that came from experience. "When bad things happen, I remind myself, nothing lasts forever. Pain, like joy, is part of life, and it too will pass. I let myself feel sad for a while, but I don't let that sadness take over everything. I look around and remind myself of the things I still have, my health, a friend, or even just the breath in my lungs." Happiness is a choice, my dear. Each of us has the power to choose how we see the world. If you only look at the bad, your heart will be filled with sorrow. But if you take time to appreciate even the smallest good things, joy will quietly return. The young man thanked her deeply. He left her little home with a heart that felt lighter and a new sense of purpose. From that day on, he tried to find something good in each situation, no matter how difficult life became. He began writing down small joys: a cool breeze on a hot day, a kind word from a stranger, the feeling of helping someone else. He stopped complaining about things he couldn't change and instead focused on what he could appreciate. The old woman's story began to spread throughout the village. More and more people visited her, not only for advice, but to learn how to see life through her eyes, full of quiet joy and deep acceptance. Though she had no riches to give, she offered something far more valuable: the secret to true happiness. As time passed, the village itself began to change. People became warmer, more patient, and more grateful. They no longer let small setbacks ruin their days. Instead, they shared laughter, lent a helping hand more often, and reminded one another of the good in life. The old woman lived out her days surrounded by love. And when she finally passed away, the entire village gathered in front of her little house. They didn't come to mourn with tears, but to celebrate her life. They shared stories of what she had taught them, and remembered her not with sorrow, but with deep gratitude. In the hearts of everyone she met, the old woman continued to live on, as a symbol of strength, resilience, and the kind of happiness that no misfortune could take away.